Part 1. The bathroom is the most dangerous room in the house. Now, let me take you to a place that's more dangerous than a dark alley in New York, more treacherous than a jungle trail in Vietnam, and more slippery than a politician's promise. Your bathroom. Yes, the same humble little room where you've sung Sinatra in the shower and fumbled for toilet paper at 3 a.m. That bathroom is, for many seniors, a well-disguised battlefield. You'd think a warm bath would be the height of peace and self-care, right? But after a certain age, that tub becomes less of a spa and more of a slippery slope to the emergency room. See what used to be a breeze, stepping over the edge of the tub, balancing while reaching for the shampoo, turning around without falling over, is now an Olympic event. You might think it's just water, it's just soap. But for a body that's walked through 7 decades, that water might as well be a banana peel on black ice. The Centers for Disease Control tells us more than 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls every year, and the bathroom is the #1 culprit. Why? Because it's all hard surfaces, slick floors, foggy mirrors, and narrow spaces. Add in fatigue, stiff joints, or a wobbly knee, and you've got a recipe for disaster. There's a teaching in Buddhism that says all is impermanent, including our strength. Okay, maybe I added the last part. We spend so much of our lives thinking we're in control, that if we just hold on tight enough, stand tall enough, we'll never slip. But aging humbles us. And maybe that's not a loss. Maybe it's an invitation to adjust, to let go of ego, to trade control for consciousness. Maybe being wise is not about doing it all the same way we always have, but knowing when it's time to take a seat, literally, in the shower. Let me introduce you to Edna. Edna was 80, fiercely independent, and still wore her hair in rollers every Saturday night. She didn't like to ask for help. She didn't like change. And she sure as sugar didn't like being told how to bathe. One chilly morning, she decided to take her usual shower, same as always, but her foot caught the edge of the tub, and in an instant she was on the floor. Fractured hip. Surgery. 3 months of rehab. When I visited her later, she looked at me and said, "All this for a bar of soap. Can you believe it?" Now she uses a shower chair, bathes twice a week, and has soft music playing while she gently washes her arms and legs with a warm cloth. She lights a candle afterward. She calls it my little peace ritual. She told me, I don't need to feel spotless anymore. I just need to feel safe and still a little bit sparkly. Less frequent bathing means fewer trips into that slippery zone. Fewer chances for dizziness, slipping, or sudden exhaustion. And when you do bathe, make it gentle. Install grab bars. Use a non-slip mat. Sit down while you wash. Let someone help you, if that's what it takes. Because you're not proving anything anymore. You've already lived the proof. The bathroom doesn't have to be a battleground. It can be a place of reverence, not risk. Maybe you don't need to chase the idea of being squeaky clean. Maybe just being whole, safe, and at peace is enough now. Because wisdom isn't about pushing yourself harder. It's about knowing when to soften and trusting that softness is strength. Part 2. Experts say once or twice a week is enough. Now I know what you might be thinking. Once or twice a week? That can't be right. I've been washing every day since Eisenhower was in office. Yes, and back then, gas was 25 cents a gallon, and nobody wore seatbelts. The point is, times change, and sometimes so do bodies. See, there comes a moment in life, maybe after 70, maybe after the 3rd time you drop the soap and contemplate just leaving it there forever, where you realize doing less might actually be the smarter move. And get this, the doctors agree. We tend to think more bathing equals more hygiene equals more dignity. But according to those lab-coated sages at the American Academy of Dermatology, that equation doesn't hold up so well after 70. Their advice? For most older adults, a full bath once or twice a week is plenty. In fact, more than that can cause irritation, skin breakdown, and the kind of dryness that makes you feel like a piece of toast left too long under the broiler. Dermatologists, geriatricians, elder care experts, they're all singing the same tune now. You don't need to scrub the temple every day to keep it sacred. Now, Buddhism has this beautiful word, anicca, impermanence. Everything changes. The seasons, the breath, the joints, and yes, even how often you need a shower. The suffering, as the Buddha said, comes not from the change, but from clinging to what used to be. So if you used to bathe daily and now your skin is crying out for mercy, that's not failure. That's an invitation to care differently, to care more wisely. You're not lowering your standards, you're raising your awareness. Frank was a retired jazz pianist in his 70s, dapper as ever, white beard, polished shoes, suspenders that told stories. And every morning, he took his shower like a ritual. He said it kept him presentable. But over time, the water stung, his back itched, his skin peeled. Still, he pushed through. Until one day, his granddaughter caught him slipping a little on the wet tile. "Grandpa," she said, "you look great, but you don't need to fight your shower every day to prove it." So Frank scaled back. He bathed twice a week, did a quick wipe down the other days, used almond oil instead of soap sometimes. He told me, "Turns out, I still feel like me. I just don't feel like I ran a marathon to get there." Here's a rhythm that many elders are finding peace with. Full bath or shower, once or twice a week. Spot cleaning, armpits, groin, feet, and face, as needed. Fresh clothes, daily. Oral care and grooming, to keep that sparkle in your smile. And yes, a little body mist or lavender oil doesn't hurt either. It's less about being clean and more about feeling beautifully you. Bathing less doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you've stopped trying to keep up with some outdated cultural myth that says your worth is tied to how many times a week you stand in the tub risking a hip. You've traded harshness for harmony. You've said, "My body has changed, and so has my care." You've remembered that self-respect isn't about soap, it's about self-awareness. So bathe when it brings you comfort, skip it when it brings you stress, and know that the wisdom is in the balance, not the bubbles. Part 3. The emotional weight of cleanliness. Letting go of shame and old beliefs. Let's talk about something that doesn't get spoken about much, but you can feel it. Deep in your chest, in the quiet hours of the morning. It's that feeling that bubbles up when you skip a bath. That whisper, "You're slipping." Not just in hygiene, but in dignity, in pride, in who you think you are. It's not the body that rebels. It's the voice inside your head, the one that was programmed decades ago to believe that clean equals worthy. And that, my friend, is where the suffering begins. See, you didn't invent that voice, you inherited it. Maybe from a mother who kept the house spotless and the children scrubbed like little statues. Maybe from school nuns or army sergeants or barbers who said, "A man should smell like soap." Maybe from decades of commercials that promised self-worth in a bar of deodorant. We absorbed this message, that to be respected, we must be clean, polished, deodorized, and stain-free. But what happens when age comes in like a tide, and the daily shower starts costing more than it gives? What happens when you don't have the strength to lather, rinse, and repeat? If we're not careful, shame slips in where soap used to be. In Buddhism, there's this liberating idea called upadana, clinging. The belief that we suffer not because things change, but because we can't let go of how they used to be. We cling to the image of who we were, the sharp man in the crisp shirt, the graceful woman in the pressed dress, the reliable, polished, clean-as-a-whistle version of ourselves. But the truth is, none of that was ever the real you. You're not your routines. You're not your rituals. You're not your soap. You are the awareness behind it all. The one who watches, the one who chooses, the one who still loves, even when your hair isn't washed. Let me tell you about Leon. Leon was 88, a retired school principal, the kind of man who polished his shoes even when no one was coming over. He took pride in being put together, always had, but bathing had gotten harder. His legs ached, his energy drained fast, And yet, he forced himself to shower every day. Until one day, he slipped, bruised his hip. It wasn't serious, but it was a wake-up call. His granddaughter, Mira, a hospice chaplain, visited him afterward. They sat in the living room, sunlight spilling over faded curtains. She said gently, "Grandpa, what if you're not dirty? What if your body's just tired and deserves care that matches where it is now?" He paused, his eyes filled with something heavy. "I don't want to become less." She took his hand. "You're not less, you're just different." And even the Buddha said, "We suffer when we cling to who we were. Let's let that man rest. You've earned it." That night, Leon took his first sponge bath in 30 years. Soft cloth, warm towel, a few drops of jasmine oil, and afterward he looked at himself in the mirror and said, "I feel whole." Bathing is not a moral issue. Skipping a shower is not a character flaw. You are not your scent. You are not your skin. You are a soul who has spent a lifetime showing up. And now, it's time to show up for yourself, not with shame, but with surrender. Let go of the old beliefs, let go of the spotless identity, and step into the kind of care that says, "I am enough, exactly as I am today." Part 4. The hidden damage of daily baths on senior skin. Let's take a little journey together. Close your eyes. Okay, maybe just one eye, we're still reading, and imagine this. You're 77 years old. It's early morning. The sun hasn't quite made it over the fence yet, and the bathroom light flickers on with that familiar buzz. You sit at the edge of your bathtub like it's a pew in some steamy cathedral. You've done this for decades. The sacred ritual of soap, scrub, rinse, repeat. This is how you start the day. Clean, proper, ready to face the world. But today, something feels different. You turn the faucet, watch the steam curl upward like incense in a monastery, and step into the warmth. The water trickles down your back, and your skin, instead of sighing in relief, tightens. Not just tight like a tucked-in sheet, tight like parchment stretched across a frame. You tell yourself it's nothing, just dry air. Maybe winter, maybe age. You keep going, because somewhere in the back of your head, your mother's voice still lives. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Even if godliness now includes itchy legs and elbows that sting. See, aging doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, it's time." It sneaks in like a house guest who rearranges your furniture when you're not looking. Your skin, that beautiful old friend that once glowed under the sun, healed from every scratch, blushed in love, it's changing. By your 70s, your epidermis has grown thin and tired. The dermis beneath, once filled with collagen and youthful bounce, is now softer, looser, quieter. Sebum, that silky oil that once gave you that just moisturized look for free, it's now on strike. Sweat glands, also taking a well-earned retirement. And yet, we keep bathing like we're still 25, scrubbing away at the body as if it's a dirty floor instead of a sacred temple. In the Zen Buddhist tradition, there's a practice called soji. The monks sweep the temple floors, not with chemicals or harsh brooms, but with mindfulness. They clean with intention, not aggression. They don't scrub to sterilize. They sweep to honor the space. What if we did that with our skin? What if we treated the body not as something to fix, but something to respect? What if, instead of trying to purify it with bubbles and heat, we learned to preserve it with care? Let me tell you about Lorraine. Lorraine was 85 and still spry in spirit, even if her knees no longer played along. She was a former nurse, raised 5 kids, buried 1 husband, and swore by her morning bath like it was gospel. But one winter, she began to itch. First her calves, then her arms, then her back. She tried everything: medicated creams, oatmeal baths, even a humidifier the size of a toaster. Nothing worked. One afternoon, her grandson Noah, a soft-spoken yoga teacher, visited. He noticed her scratching and asked gently, "Grandma, when did you last give your skin a break?" She blinked. "What do you mean, a break? It's skin. It gets dirty." He smiled. Even the Buddha rested under the Bodhi tree. Maybe your skin just wants a little less effort. Lorraine rolled her eyes but agreed to try. She reduced her baths to twice a week, started using a soft cloth and warm water just on her face, hands, the important parts, and finished with almond oil her mother used to keep in the pantry. In 2 weeks, the itching vanished. She leaned in one day and whispered to Noah, "I feel freer now, like I stopped fighting myself." So here we are. This isn't about abandoning hygiene, it's about redefining it. It's about realizing that after 70, maybe we don't need more soap. Maybe we need more softness. Because when your skin is cracking, it's not asking for cleaner, it's asking for kindness. When we stop scrubbing like we're trying to erase age and start touching our bodies like we're offering thanks for their decades of service, that's when healing begins. Part 5. Your body is a self-cleaning masterpiece. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how your body, even after all these years, still kind of knows what it's doing? I mean, sure, it creaks a little more than it used to. The knees are making music you didn't ask for. But somehow, under all the noise, your body is still working, still breathing, still finding its own rhythm. And here's the kicker. Even when we forget how wise it is, our body keeps cleaning itself. Yes, I know it sounds strange. After a lifetime of advertisements shouting at you to wash away the germs, lather, rinse, repeat, scrub every inch like you're going into surgery, it's a radical idea to think, maybe we're already clean enough. See, your skin is not just a passive wrapper. It's alive. It breathes, it renews, it sheds what it no longer needs. It's covered in a community, a sacred microscopic village called the skin microbiome. And these little critters aren't here to embarrass you. They're your defense team. They balance pH, break down oils, ward off invaders. They're like monks living quietly on your skin, sweeping the temple floors while you go about your day. And what do we do to them? We wash them down the drain, twice a day, with antibacterial soap. We don't just clean, we overclean. And in the process, we throw off the very harmony our body was born to protect. In Taoism and Zen Buddhism, there's this beautiful concept called Wu Wei, the art of non-doing. It doesn't mean laziness. It means knowing when not to interfere. It's like watching a river and realizing, I don't need to stir the water for it to flow. Your body is like that river. It knows how to flow. And sometimes the best thing we can do is get out of its way. Let me tell you about Ruth. Ruth was 82, lived in a small apartment in upstate New York, and had a lavender bathrobe she wore like a queen. For most of her life, she bathed daily, sometimes twice. It made her feel presentable, she said. But as the years passed, her skin started to revolt. It was dry, flaky, tender. Her back would itch so badly at night she'd sleep with a spoon to scratch it. One day, her daughter visited and gently said, "Mom, what if your body's not dirty, just overloved?" So Ruth tried something different. She started spot cleaning. A warm cloth in the morning, a full bath just twice a week. She used coconut oil the way her grandmother did, just a dab here and there. Within 2 weeks, the itching stopped. The red patches faded. But more than that, Ruth started smiling again. "I feel like I've stopped punishing my skin," she said. "It's like we're finally on the same team." So here's the truth that no one told us in the soap commercials. Sweat isn't dirty. Oil isn't shameful. Dead skin knows how to fall away. Your body right now is quietly balancing, cleansing, and renewing. All without drama. All without your permission. Yes, wash your face, freshen up, wipe down the underarms and the nooks and crannies. But know this, you're not dirty, you're divine. When we scrub ourselves like we're trying to erase time, we miss the deeper truth. There is a grace in letting the body be, in trusting the quiet systems, in realizing with a soft smile that the thing we've been trying to fix has always been working on our behalf. So next time you're tempted to clean up again, pause, listen to your skin. You might hear it whisper, "I'm already doing the work, you just rest." Part 6. Why bathing less may lower infection risk. Let's talk about skin. Not the kind you see in magazines, all airbrushed and beaming under artificial light. I'm talking about your skin. The skin that's been with you through every season of your life. The skin that's weathered births and breakups, garden dirt and kitchen grease, heartbreak and hilarity. Now that skin, in its 70s, 80s, and beyond, has a quieter story to tell. It's thinner now, more delicate, not less beautiful, just more honest. And it turns out, too much bathing? Well, it might be bullying your skin a little. You see, your skin is smart. It's an entire neighborhood of microscopic residents, good bacteria, protective oils, immune cells. Think of it like a little Zen garden on your body. All these elements are working in harmony, whispering, "We've got this. Just let us be." But then we come along with hot water and a scrub brush, determined to clean everything. And that Zen garden? Suddenly it's a mudslide. Every time you bathe, especially with soap and heat, you're stripping away the very oils and microbes designed to protect you. And when those defenses are down, that's when the trouble walks in. Here's something not often said out loud. The older we get, the more our skin behaves like handmade paper. Soft, lovely, but prone to tearing. And when those little tears happen, often from something as simple as putting on socks or reaching for the remote, they can become gateways for infection. Studies from the New England Journal of Medicine have shown that seniors who bathe less often, say 2 or 3 times a week, have fewer skin tears, fewer infections, and more peace of mind. Now, isn't that something? There's a story in the Buddhist tradition about a monk named Tisa. He was a bit fastidious, always polishing, always cleaning, always fussing. One day, while washing his alms bowl, he scrubbed so hard that it cracked. The Buddha told him, "Sometimes in our desire to keep things pure, we destroy what we're trying to preserve." Sound familiar? We're not broken. We're just older bulls. And maybe like the monk, we need to be reminded. Cleanliness doesn't mean scrubbing until something gives. Now let me tell you about Mr. Alvarez. 83. Retired carpenter. A man of habit, neat, precise, and punctual enough to set your watch by. He took a hot shower every single day, rain or shine, thought it was his duty as a civilized human. But then the infections started, small ones at first, a nick on the ankle that got red and puffy, then a sore behind the knee that just wouldn't heal. His daughter, a nurse, gently suggested, "Dad, what if it's too much?" He scoffed. "Too much cleanliness? Is that a thing now?" But eventually, he agreed to try bathing every 3rd day, using just a damp cloth in between. He switched to a gentle soap and started moisturizing like his skin was fine furniture. 3 months later, no more skin infections, no more chronic sores. He chuckled one day and said, "Turns out being clean and being kind to my body aren't the same thing. You're not less clean because you're bathing less. You're more in tune. Bathing less doesn't make you less holy. It might just mean you're finally listening to the temple that is your body. And guess what? That temple knows what it's doing. The monks don't bathe daily. The Buddha didn't obsess over soap. They washed with purpose, not pressure. Maybe now's the time to follow suit. Not because you're giving up, but because you're waking up." Part 7. Daily baths can exhaust seniors. You know, when you're young, you hop in the shower like it's a race. Splash, scrub, shampoo, maybe even a little dance if Aretha's playing on the radio. 5 minutes in, and you're ready to conquer the world. But after 70, the shower's no longer a sprint. It's a pilgrimage. You've got your towel over one shoulder, a plastic stool in the corner, and a prayer on your lips that you don't drop the soap again, because your knees and that cold tile floor are not on speaking terms. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Bathing is exhausting. For an aging body, one that's been kind enough to carry you through decades of parenting, walking, grieving, loving, and lifting, standing for 15 minutes under hot water isn't relaxing. It's a cardio workout in disguise. That warm water, it lowers blood pressure. Your heart races trying to keep up. You're bending, reaching, twisting like you're in some low-budget yoga class. And the towel drying afterward? That's the final boss battle. By the time you're dressed, you don't feel clean. You feel like you need a nap. In the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, there's this lovely teaching. Right effort. It doesn't mean pushing harder. It doesn't mean sweating for purity. It means knowing what is skillful, what is kind, and what is necessary, and then doing just that. So if bathing daily leaves you breathless, shaky, or drained for hours afterward, it's not discipline. It's over-effort. And over-effort, my friend, leads not to freedom, but to collapse. Hazel was 79. Sweet as honey, sharp as a thumbtack. Used to bathe every morning before breakfast. "It wakes me up," she said. But lately, it wasn't waking her up. It was wiping her out. She'd skip lunch, cancel afternoon walks, and sometimes fall asleep halfway through her puzzle. Her daughter suggested she try bathing every other day instead, with warm cloth wipe-downs on the off days. A shower chair helped. So did switching to a handheld shower head. Within a week, Hazel had more energy. She said, "Turns out I don't need a bath to feel alive. I just needed a break from feeling broken afterward." At this stage of life, your energy is like gold. You don't waste it. You don't throw it around just to follow an old habit. You invest it in joy, in connection, in peace. So ask yourself, is this bath giving me strength, or is it taking something away? Because there's no shame in saying, "Today, I choose rest." That's not giving up. That's growing wise. If a full shower feels like climbing Everest, try this. Use a shower chair or sturdy stool. Lower the water temperature slightly. Keep essentials within reach, no acrobatics. Ask for help or install grab bars. Moisturize after, while the skin is still damp, like a love letter to your body. And most importantly, if it's not a bath day, bless your face with warm water, dab your pulse points with lavender, change into fresh clothes, and smile at yourself in the mirror. That's a ritual too. You're not here to prove anything anymore. You've already survived a lot and loved through even more. So if the daily bath is leaving you empty, maybe it's time to bathe in kindness instead, to soak in the warmth of gentler rhythms, to remind yourself that the cleanest thing you can do today might be to pause. Because the truth is, sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do for your body is give it a rest. Part 8. Creating a mindful bathing ritual. Turning necessity into nourishment. Let's shift the scene for a moment. Forget rushing through a shower like you're late for a job interview you don't want. Forget scrubbing like you're trying to erase history from your elbows. Instead, imagine this. You're sitting on a warm towel. The lights are low. A cloth soaked in lavender water touches your forehead. The steam rises gently, and your body, this beloved, aching, faithful body, exhales. Suddenly, bathing isn't about hygiene. It's about honoring the moment. It's about being here, fully. It's about loving yourself as you are, not how you used to be. We're taught to rush. Even in old age, we think faster is better. But what if bathing could be a form of prayer? No need for chanting or incense, unless you want it. Just water, breath, and presence. A few quiet minutes to say, "Thank you, knees, for still trying. Thank you, hands, for all you've held. Thank you, back, even though you've grown a little." Because after 70, the body is no longer a machine, it's a temple. And temples aren't cleaned with power washers. They're dusted gently, with reverence. In Buddhist monasteries, bathing isn't done with haste. It's done with awareness. A monk might take 10 minutes just to wash his face, not because it's dirty, but because it's sacred. There's no rush to become clean, because in that moment of mindful washing, they are already whole. This is what we call embodied practice. You're not washing your body because it's broken. You're bathing because this body, the one you have right now, is a gift. Wrinkled, creaky, marvelous, and every touch of warm water is a way of saying, "I'm still here." Now let me tell you about Lillian. Lillian is 84. Once a ballroom dancer, now a grandmother who keeps wildflowers on her windowsill and hums Sinatra while she folds laundry. Bathing became hard for her. The standing, the bending, the cold. So her daughter helped her create something new. Every Friday morning, they prepare a small ritual. They fill a basin with warm water, a few drops of lavender oil, light a candle, put on Billie Holiday. Lillian sits, wrapped in a robe, and together they wash her arms, her feet, her face. No rushing, no shame. Just presence. I used to dread the bath, she told me. Now it feels like I'm being remembered, even by myself. You don't need a fancy setup. You don't even need a bathtub. All you need is intention. Try this. Use a soft cloth and warm water. No scrubbing, just soothing. Add a scent you love. Lavender, citrus, sandalwood. Light a candle or say a small blessing before and after. Speak kindly to your body, out loud or silently. Thank it. Even 5 minutes can change your whole day. Not because you're cleaner, but because you feel cared for. Bathing isn't just about washing dirt away. It's about coming back to yourself, slowly, lovingly, without apology. Make it a ritual. Make it yours. Let it be quiet. Let it be nourishing. Let it be an act of compassion, not another chore. Because after a lifetime of giving to others, maybe now is the time to give back. To yourself. Part 9. Hygiene isn't just about bathing. Let me tell you a little secret, whispered gently from one soul to another. You don't need a bathtub to feel clean. You don't need bubbles or a loofah or some fancy soap named after a rainforest. What you need, what you've always needed, is a little care, a little intention, and a lot of kindness. Because hygiene, dear friend, isn't about scrubbing yourself into sainthood. It's about honoring the body you're living in today. We've been sold this story, that unless we shower every single day, change our towels hourly, and smell like synthetic lavender, we've somehow failed. But let me ask you, do you remember growing up when baths were once or twice a week, and nobody dropped dead? In fact, we were just fine. And so were our noses. The truth is, feeling clean isn't about how much water you use. It's about how connected you feel to yourself. You don't need to be squeaky. You just need to feel seen. Here's something radical. Hygiene can be flexible. It can bend with your energy, your needs, your reality. Let me offer you your new Elderwise hygiene kit. Warm washcloths for the important bits. Armpits, groin, feet, and hands. Fresh clothes daily. A new shirt can lift your whole spirit. Oral care. Brushing, flossing, and maybe even singing while you do it. A comb through and a spritz of your favorite scent. Not for others, but for you. Clean sheets once a week. It's like bathing in cotton joy. These small, doable rituals keep you feeling fresh, grounded, and human. Not perfect, present. In Buddhist monasteries, monks often don't bathe daily. Instead, they freshen themselves with small bowls of water, washing their face, hands, and feet with care and presence. They don't rush. They don't fuss. They don't apologize for skipping a scrub. Because for them, the act of caring for the body is a meditation, not a performance. So what if we brought a little of that spirit into our routines? What if washing your face became an offering? Changing your shirt, a declaration of joy? Brushing your teeth, a love song to your breath? Irene was 86, living alone and holding on tightly to her independence. She still kept her compact powder in the drawer, just in case company showed up. But bathing every day was getting harder. Her hands trembled, and her legs weren't quite as steady. At first, she felt ashamed. What if someone finds out I haven't showered? Then one day, her granddaughter brought her a basin of warm water and a soft lavender-scented cloth. Together, they freshened her arms and face, changed her shirt, and wrapped her in a cozy robe. Irene looked in the mirror and said, "I still feel like me. Just gentler now." You don't need to prove your cleanliness to anyone. You are not unworthy because you skipped a bath. You are not less loved because your feet didn't touch water today. What matters is how you care, not how often. So hold your routines like prayer beads, one bead at a time. Wash with love, dress with gratitude. Rest in the miracle that you are still here. Because the deepest hygiene isn't on the outside, it's the peace you bring to yourself. So dear friend, what if the bath wasn't just about being clean, but about being kind. Today we've explored 9 truths that invite us to bathe less, but care more. To let go of routines that exhaust us, and instead choose rituals that nourish. From slippery bathrooms to tired skin, from old beliefs to new rituals, we're learning to listen to the body like a wise old friend who simply wants to be treated gently. And if part 6 taught us anything, it's this. Sometimes stepping away from the daily bath is the first step back to energy, comfort, and peace. If this video offered you even one moment of reflection, if something in your chest said, "Yes, that's me," please like the video, subscribe, and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers so we can keep sharing this gentle path of wisdom for elders. Drop a comment and let us know. What are you ready to release? And what are you ready to receive? Thank you for joining us at Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly. Until next time, be soft, be safe, and above all, be here.